Hello, and welcome to the 5th episode of History Boys Ramblers. As you may know by now, or those who are checking out this playlist, Ramblers is just people who have mainly done a bit of everything and got to some, shenanigans and all that. Let's get to it. This 5th episode is about Jason Statham. Not really, but Lee Christmas, which is the name of Jason Statham in the Expendables films. If you've ever seen them, either he was obscurely named after this geezer I'm going to talk about, or it was just a coincidence. But he's very, I guess, Cajun technically, very American Southern as opposed to, English knife expert like Lee Christmas is in the Expendables. His full name was Leon Winfield Christmas. He was born on the 2nd of February 1863 in Livingston Parish, which was then a plantation, and which is also southeast of the historic Carter House, which used to be a plantation as well. I think they might have used the Carter House, or at least the location with all the the posh southern ivory-looking White House wall architecture stuff as a location for the beginning of Interview with the Vampire, where Louis, the early Louisiana vampire, before he becomes a vampire, lives kind of around there. I can't remember if he's poor. And this was when Brad Pitt played him. Speaking of digressing a bit, I'm starting to like the TV series more. Apart from the kind of ethnicity thing with Louis in the series. Because I can look back, because Jacob Anderson plays it really well, and also Sam Reed, who plays Lestat. Yeah, he's how I imagine him to be in the books, as opposed to, well, appearance-wise, in comparison to Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is all right in the mannerisms, but Sam Reed is the one who I imagine to. I haven't really read the Anne Rice novels, but I've heard good things. I might check them out sometime. Fun fact about Jacob Anderson: he also goes by the name Raleigh Ritchie when he's doing like his music stuff. Same with Donald Glover, who is Childish Gambino. But I'll get back to it with Leon Winfield Christmas. He was known mainly for being like a tugboat worker, and spent the rest of his life in railroad engineering, and he was obviously very good at it because he was promoted to railroad engineer at the young age of 22, but he was fired in 1897 when a locomotive he was driving between Memphis and New Orleans collided. I'm here shuffling through my papers like Trevor McDonald. Guess I tend to write everything down, the reverse of Paulie. you know, where he's like, I don't write nothing down. I'm like, I write everything down, and I keep it long-winded. That's just how it is, if I can. But yeah, he was he avoided criminal charges because they recognised that after working well over 2 days, exactly 54 hours, he was likely overworked and exhausted. But in between his travels in and living in Honduras and Guatemala, he tried his case in America, and tried to get, like, rehired as an engineer, but eventually in about 1900, he didn't. It turns out he didn't win the case, but it was Illinois Central that let him go. But yeah, several years before that, he became a railroad engineer mercenary for future Honduran president Manuel Bonilla, who nicknamed him the Incredible Yankee. He was impressed with his mercenary work. Was employed during his time in Honduras, he was employed as a colonel, and Bonilla actually was so impressed that he employed him as a general. Bonilla himself was a major general in the Honduran army, or whatever they called it back then. Probably the Honduran army. And thing is about Manuel Bonilla, he became the president of Honduras after a rebellion during the Banana Wars, which is an ongoing conflict, which even spanned quite a while after his death as well. Bonilla was president from 1903 to 1907, and he died in 1911 or 13. But I'll obviously put the references and shit in there, where you can read more about Bonilla and Late Christmas. And in fact, you could argue that Christmas was instrumental in Bonilla's rising to the rank of rising to the political position of president as well, because basically it was a sort of it was a score against the Americans who wanted to keep occupying their routes on the Panama Canal after the Spanish-American War. And Banana Wars went from at least 1903 all the way to about 1922. They wanted to. They had ties with subsidiaries in that neck of the woods through the fruit company and all that kind of stuff, and it gets a bit complicated. In 1899, he was appointed colonel, and then in a year before Bonilla became president, the current Honduran president, Terencio Sierra, appointed him as chief of police. But after he remained quite loyal he remained loyal to Bonilla, and when he died, he pretty much drifted around Central America, Honduras, Guatemala, Nicaragua, trying odd jobs and schemes, and which were I guess. Oh, excuse me. Shouldn't have coffee before on an empty stomach. Which were probably hit and miss, some success, because before his death, he managed to invent a railroad safety system that would avoid terrible accidents if railroad engineers, fell asleep from exhaustion like he did, and it's not like a specific thing. I guess it's like a system, but he obviously had great success with that because that system is still in place and maintained even now. I'm thinking he came up with the idea during his time in Honduras, because the first thing he did when he fled there was trying to pick up his true calling as a railroad engineer. Apart from being a policeman and involved in some of the uprisings there where he would have seen action. About 10 years before his death, he was actually arguably the very first known American to enlist in the First World War. Unofficially anyway, because they officially enlisted in 1917. Well, during the war effort, there was a lot of paper and logistics and stuff, because they were. Well, Woodrow Wilson was kind of in late 1915, kind of approaching the kind of giving the push to enter America into the First World War, possibly following the Lusitania disaster, which was like basically like a holiday, vacation ship that got torpedoed by a German U-boat when they were crossing over into the North Sea, I think, or Irish Sea. The trip was like basically it was like a sort of I guess like a mini cruise through Ireland, and when they were passing through the North Sea in Norway and Germany, I think they got the boat got torpedoed and everyone died, and the Germans excused it as, oh, we thought it was an enemy boat, but who knows what really happened there. I think Lord Kitchener might have been on that boat. Mister, your country needs you on the on the UK side. Uncle Sam obviously being the American side, with the poster with the the bloke pointing, same thing kind of. But yeah, he was rejected from serving in World War One because he was already 50 years old and therefore seen as too old. And eventually, from his time in Guatemala and Nicaragua, he caught tropical sprue, which is an inflammatory. It's like a stomach disease that you get from some kind of like tropical fever type thing. Probably similar to what Teddy Roosevelt kind of got, but ended up surviving. And months before he died, he returned to the US to seek treatment. And a few months later, in 1924, 21st of June 1924, he died of anemia from the complications of the illness that he had. So it's not really stated anywhere if he underwent the treatment, whether it was successful or he just died from complications of being so ill anyway. So that's it for this obscure character. Probably even more obscure than my previous episode. Camillo Riccardi, whose most notable thing is possibly butting heads with Winston Churchill when he was a war correspondent in the Second Boer War. Maybe even fought him. Don't know if Churchill actually technically saw action. Maybe he did when he was, captured. But remember to like, subscribe, comment. And that's about it before I waffle on any further about irrelevant crap.